This next story is a case of love cannibalism, a situation involving a cannibal and a willing participant offering himself to be eaten alive. In 2001, after Armin Meiwes posted an advertisement request on the internet for a young, well-built 18 to 30-year-old to be slaughtered and then consumed, he heard from several enthusiastic applicants who met him in hotel rooms and role-played cannibalistic acts. To his disappointment, no one had taken his request literally, but his luck changed when he found an ad placed by a 43-year-old engineer and self-proclaimed masochist named Bernd Brandis, entitled Dinner or Your Dinner, offering the chance to eat me alive. When Meiwes invited him to his isolated farmhouse, Brandis responded, "I hope you find me tasty." A rare bond formed immediately between two men who wanted to experience the ultimate high, which for Meiwes meant eating a man, and for Brandis meant being eaten alive. The collective term for the desire to either eat or be eaten by another human is vorarophilia, or vor for short. It is a paraphilia and a fetish mainly practiced by role-playing, involving the devouring of or being devoured by another person, whether alive and whole referred to as soft vor, or with gore and killing referred to as hard vor. So the two men met, and after intercourse, Meiwes handed Brandis a half a bottle of schnapps blended with 20 sleeping pills in order to numb the pain. Once the sedatives kicked in, it was mutually agreed that Meiwes would sever his companion's man part and would fry it up for the two men to eat. Oh yeah, and the whole incident was recorded from start to finish on a 4-hour home video. Meiwes first unsuccessfully attempted to bite off the appendage before removing it with a knife, while his willing victim screamed in agony. Brandis then tried to eat some of his own man part, but found it unappealingly chewy. Meiwes then fried it in a pan with salt, pepper, garlic, and wine, but it proved too burnt for consumption, so he fed it to his dog. Meiwes then helped Brandis into a bath where he could slowly bleed out. While Meiwes sat back and watched a Disney film, Brandis eventually slipped into unconsciousness. After saying a prayer to God and the devil, Meiwes then stabbed his lover in the throat, killing him. He then suspended him from a meat hook. Meiwes then proceeded to dismember the corpse and froze 44 pounds of human meat in his refrigerator. He spent 10 months enjoying Brandis meat over the course of a variety of candlelit meals delicately prepared with potatoes and sprouts. Meiwes later admitted, "The first bite was of course very strange. It was a feeling I can't really describe. I've spent over 40 years longing for it, dreaming about it, and now I was getting the feeling that I was actually achieving this perfect inner connection to his flesh." He said it tasted like pork, an opinion rendered by most cannibals. Eating a human both sexually gratified Meiwes and satisfied his fantasy of forever merging with another person. Meiwes came to the attention of police in December 2002 when he posted another ad for a new well-built man who'd be game. After authorities discovered the human meat in his freezer, he was convicted of manslaughter and was sentenced to life. Since then, Meiwes has become a strict vegetarian. So what in this man's childhood may have led him to be drawn to such unfathomable acts? Meiwes was born in Essen, Germany in 1961. His mother had reportedly been ruthlessly overbearing and cruel during his childhood, and his father abandoned the family when he was 8. One of his older half-brothers became a priest, and another moved away permanently. His mother made him perform hard labor at home and insisted on accompanying him everywhere. She ridiculed Meiwes in public, often calling him worthless. She forced him to wear traditional lederhosen to school, which made him the target of relentless traumatic bullying and humiliation. Gradually, Meiwes slipped deeply into a fantasy world and created an imaginary brother named Frankie, who he envisioned was a very good listener, and he returned to a childhood obsession of his that started around age 4, the tale of Hansel and Gretel. He especially fixated on the part where the cannibalistic witch fattens Hansel to eat him. As his fantasies of devouring a human being grew in their intensity, he tore apart Barbie dolls and cooked the plastic parts on a grill. He also became infatuated with serial killer Fritz Armin, the vampire of Hanover, who butchered his young male victims and consumed their blood. By age 12, Meiwes was fantasizing about eating his own friends, so that they would become permanent parts of him and could never abandon him. A bizarre solution for a very lonely boy who suffered the trauma of his disappearing family. As an adult, Meiwes became a computer engineer and served in the military. He was engaged to a woman for 9 months, but found her to be as difficult as his mother. "It was like going from the shower to the storm," he later admitted. He then said it was not possible to marry so long as his mother was alive. Eventually, she died of cancer when he was 38. Like serial killer Ed Gein, Meiwes reportedly constructed a shrine to his mother. He boarded up the windows to her room, allowing no light to enter. He ritualistically placed one of her wigs on the head of a doll each night before going to bed. Free from his mother's dominance at long last, he fully embraced his homosexuality, which sparked a resurgence in his cannibalistic fantasies. He often shaped pieces of pork into human body parts and imagined himself ingesting them. And in 2001, he made up his mind to finally carry out his lifelong fantasy of eating a human alive. Just this past April, the house in which Meiwes cannibalized Brandes burned down. Like Jeffrey Dahmer, Meiwes was not a sadist who enjoyed torturing his victims. Instead, the crimes were connected to a profound loneliness and an intense sensitivity to abandonment, feelings that catapulted both men into deeply deranged fantasy worlds. Their obsessive fantasies strengthened their egocentric need to destroy any boundaries between themselves and a love object, which at the end of the day meant eating them.